It started as a conversation that I never thought would go anywhere. My husband, with his usual curiosity and that playful glint in his eyes, brought up the idea one evening over dinner. At first, I thought he was joking, as we often shared light-hearted banter, but there was something different in the way he looked at me. Something genuine. He leaned in, his voice lowering, and said it clearly. "I want you to see me with two girls." I remember how my heart skipped a beat, unsure of how to respond. It wasn't something I had ever imagined happening in our marriage, and yet the way he said it, his tone so soft and full of desire, made me pause. The suggestion lingered in the air between us, a mixture of excitement and trepidation swirling around in my mind. I could feel the curiosity building inside me. Despite the initial surprise, days passed, and the idea began to take root, growing into something more than just an idle fantasy. My husband was patient, never pushing, always letting me come to terms with the thought at my own pace. But each time we discussed it, the fire in his eyes grew brighter, and eventually I found myself considering it in a new light. What would it feel like? Could it really happen? And more importantly, could I allow myself to let go, to experience something so different, so new? I found myself daydreaming about the possibilities, the scenarios planned, hing out in my mind, more vivid each time. My heart would race with anticipation. And though I never voiced it out loud, I knew I was intrigued. There was a part of me that was curious about watching my husband with someone else. Someone else, in fact. The very thought of it stirred something deep within me, a longing I hadn't realized was there. And so one evening, as we lay in bed together, I turned to him, my heart pounding in my chest. I gave him a soft smile and said, "Okay." His eyes widened, and for a moment, I saw a flash of disbelief, before it was replaced with pure, unfiltered excitement. We spent the next few nights talking about it, discussing every detail, every boundary, making sure we were both comfortable. He told me about two women he had met, both of whom were intrigued by the idea and that they were willing to join us. I could hear the excitement in his voice, and strangely enough, it only made me feel more certain of my décision. When the night finally arrived, I was nervous. Of course, my heart raced as I got ready, every brush of my hand against my skin, feeling more sensitive than usual. I could feel the anticipation building inside me, but there was also a sense of calm that had settled over me. I trusted him, and I knew this was something we were both stepping into, together. Hand in hand, the room was softly lit when the two women arrived, beautiful, confident and full of grace. They greeted me warmly, their eyes kind but filled with an unspoken understanding of what was to come. My husband stood close to me, his hand resting gently on my lower back. A silent reassurance that we were in this together. I could feel the excitement radiating from him, and I knew this was something he had long desired. We talked for a while, the four of us easing into the evening, letting the tension slowly build. There was no rush, no pressure, just an unspoken agreement that we would all move forward at our own pace. The two women were lovely, their laughter filling the room as we shared stories and glasses of wine. I found myself relaxing in their presence, the initial nervousness slipping away, replaced by a quiet excitement that hummed just beneath the surface. Eventually, the conversation shifted, the atmosphere changing subtly as the playful flirting began. My husband was at the center of it, all his charm working its magic. As the two women leaned closer, their eyes locked on him, I watched them, feeling a strange mixture of emotions, excitement, curiosity, and something else I couldn't quite place, but it wasn't jealousy. It was something deeper, a sense of liberation, of giving him the freedom to explore this part of himself. And in turn, discovering something new about myself. When the first kiss happened, it was slow, tentative. One of the women leaned in her lips, brushing softly against his, and I held my breath, watching my heart pounded in my chest as I took in the sight, his hand gently cupping her face, his lips moving with hers in a slow, deliberate rhythm. The other woman watched as well, her gaze flicking between them and me, as if gauging my reaction but didn't look away. I couldn't. There was something mesmerizing about the scene unfolding before me, something that pulled me in deeper and deeper. The kiss grew more heated, more intense, and soon the second woman joined in her lips, finding his as well. The three of them, now fully immersed in the moment, I watched them, feeling my own body respond. The heat rising in my chest, spreading lower with each passing second. My husband glanced at me, his eyes meeting mine for a brief moment. And in that gaze I saw it, his desire for me, his need for me to be a part of this, to witness it all. I moved closer. Sitting on the edge of the bed, my heart pounding in my chest as I watched them. My husband's hands moved across their bodies, exploring, caressing the three of them, moving together in a slow, sensual rhythm. I could feel the tension building in the room, the air thick with desire. The women kissed him deeply, their hands sliding over his chest, down his arms, their movements growing more confident, more insistent. And then one of them turned to me. Her eyes locking with mine, she smiled a soft, inviting smile and held out her hand without thinking. I took it, letting her guide me closer until I was right there with them. Part of the moment, her lips found mine, soft and gentle. A kiss that was both tender and filled with promise. I let myself melt into it, feeling the warmth of her body against mine, the softness of her skin beneath my fingertips. The other woman leaned in as well, her hand resting on my thigh. Her touch, light but filled with intention. My husband watched us, his eyes dark with desire, as the three of us moved together. Our lips, our hands exploring each other's bodies. I could feel his gaze on me. And it only heightened the intensity of the moment, knowing that this was what he had wanted, what we had both agreed to share. The night stretched on each kiss, each touch, building the tension between us until I could hardly stand it. My husband's hands were everywhere, his kisses alternating between the two women and me. As we all moved together in a tangle of limbs and soft-seared ice, the sensations were overwhelming, each touch sending shivers down my spine, making my breath catch in my throat. We explored each other slowly, deliberately savoring every moment, every inch of skin, every soft moan that escaped our lips. The intensity grew, the passion building to a point where it felt like time had stopped, like nothing else existed outside that room. My husband was the center of it all. His hands, his lips, his body moving between us, bringing us all together in a shared experience that felt both intimate and liberating. And then as the night reached its peak, the tension finally broke. I gasped, my body trembling with release as I watched my husband with the two women, their bodies entwined, their soft moans filling the room. It was beautiful, sensual, and for a moment I felt completely weightless, lost in the pleasure of the moment. We lay there afterward, the four of us, our bodies still tangled together, our breaths coming in soft, even waves. My husband held me close, his arms wrapped around me, his lips pressing gentle kisses to my forehead. The two women lay beside us, their hands resting on my skin, their presence still warm, still comforting. I smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over me. This was something I never thought I would experience, something I never thought I would be able to do. But now, lying here in the afterglow, I realized that I had discovered something new about myself, about my husband. About our marriage, the night had been more than just an act of passion. It had been a journey, a shared experience that had brought us closer, that had deepened the connection we already had. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years, and I knew that this was just the beginning of something new, something beautiful, something we could both explore together as I drifted off to sleep. My husband's arms still wrapped around me. I felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that we had opened a new chapter in our lives, one filled with possibility, with adventure, and most of all with love. The two women who had been so integral to our experience remained close. Their presence a gentle reminder of the incredible intimacy we had shared. My husband's arms were still wrapped around me, his touch warm and reassuring. I could feel his heartbeat against my back, steady and comforting. I reached out, my fingers brushing against the arm of one of the women. She turned to me, her eyes soft and filled with a quiet affection that mirrored my own feelings. I leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to her lips. Feeling the warmth of her response, she smiled, her fingers trailing lightly down my arm, a silent acknowledgement of the shared intimacy we had experienced. The other woman, equally graceful and gentle, moved closer as well. Her lips found mine in a kiss that was both tender and exploratory, a reflection of the connection we had built. My husband's hands rested on both of us, guiding us with a loving touch that spoke of his deep care and desire. As we kissed, the room seemed to grow warmer, the air filled with palpable sense of affection and desire. We explored each other's bodies with a newfound freedom, the kisses becoming more passionate, the touches more intimate. There was no rush, no sense of urgency, just a slow, deliberate unfolding of